Hey guys, Luke here from the Wild Movement. Just wanted to speak to you about sort of starting off training today. So we get a lot of members that haven't been doing too much in the past 6 months, 12 months, even a couple of years. Maybe they've been busy with their careers, maybe they're new mums. Whatever the case is, we follow a pretty sort of specific type of system to make sure that we don't make a lot of mistakes that I see people make every day when they try and get back into training. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is trying to go from zero to hero. What I mean by that is they haven't been doing anything training per se for however long, and then they try and go from that nothing to trying to do everything. Now, this is a really easy to understand mentality, because when you want to get back into something, normally that motivation is really high. Once you get to that point, the motivation is high. The pain has got too much, normally the pain has got too much that you're really wanting to push yourself into things, or the working towards that pleasure, that enticement is just too high, that you want the result right now, especially living in the world that we live in. So it's totally understandable that the majority of people go through this, but we need to be aware of our body's physiology. Our body's physiology isn't designed to go from sloth to superhero overnight. Okay, we need to progress things at the speed that these processes take. These processes take a certain amount of time. Okay, when you start back into training, you're in what's called protein synthesis for a much longer time after a strength training session. You're going to be sore. Okay, you're going to be in a stage where that stimulus is enough for you to be changing your body for sometimes up to a week. So a couple of the things that we look at so you don't go from zero to hero is training frequency. Training frequency needs to be aligned with where you're at the moment and where you're wanting to get to in relation to what your lifestyle is like, what your commitments outside are like, what your goals are. So for someone that hasn't been training for, let's say, 6 months, a good first commitment might be doing 2 strength training sessions per week and then just trying to do some more incidental movement on the other days. Okay, it's probably not going to look like doing nothing for 6 to 12 months and then strength training 5 days per week. It's not going to be a sustainable thing. And what we really focus on creating at the Wild Movement is sustainability, so we can make training part of your life. And that's why so many of our members have been with us from the start, since we opened 2.5 years ago. And over time, maybe that training frequency has increased for some it hasn't. It just really depends on goals. So that's just, I guess, what I want you to be aware of, is that the big mistake one of the big mistakes anyway, when people get back to training, is going from point A and trying to get to Z straight away without building those stepping stones and earning the right to progress along the way. Training frequency, training intensity, all really depend on what you have been doing, what your current stresses are, and what you've done in the past. Okay, so there's a whole heap of things that we consider when starting out. And then obviously the individualization with your training is also a massive one. We don't just expect you to jump in under a barbell and do the same weight as Mary, who's been maybe training for 2 years, and before that she was doing Ironman triathlons. Okay, everything is individualized to you, and that's why we get the results that we get with clients, because of that individualization process. So hopefully that helps you guys. Just know that you're going to be much better in the long term if you start progressing slowly. Progress is important, but sustainability means consistency. Consistency over time is where it's at.